Canada. Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.
I don't know. I'm gonna give up.
I like it, Tone. I actually like the look. As long as it helps you being able to see.
But
If it helps you,
I still can't get the Instagram live to work. I know you're making fun of my glasses, but I can't get
I'm not making fun of them, Tone. You need them to see.
I'm blind.
You can't write, so get your glasses.
Do you know? You know what everybody says? Do you know what everybody says? You know what everybody says? Everybody says that they think 20/20 vision is perfect.
It's not.
Do you know that that's incorrect, right?
It is incorrect.
Okay. So I am actually was, let me rephrase. I was 14/20. And when I said, "Oh, is that bad?" And the optometrist said, "No, sir. 14/20 means that you see perfectly up close and you see better than average from far away. So in fact, you're better than perfect." And I was like, "Yeah, that's what I'm talking about."
Mm-hmm.
Then Mrs. Fluent, because we hit that certain age, she needed reading glasses. And I laughed and I laughed and I laughed. And then we went in to see the optometrist again, who's a friend of ours. Shout out Dr. Raymond. Lives around the corner.
Sir. Yes.
Has a dog that's the size of a small planet. You know that dog Marmaduke from the cartoon? That's the dog.
It's big like that.
It's like you could ride that thing like a horse.
Wow.
And anyways, I'm sitting in there with him, and we're talking a little bit of ball, and and he says, "I got bad news for you." And I said, "What do you mean?" "You need reading glasses."
Yes, you do.
Almost choked him out. Oh, you lying. My wife put you up to this? Hell
no, she didn't. Mm-hmm.
And now, depends on the day, of course, but I have good days and bad days, and today's just a bad day. So here we are. There's so much to go over today. You would think there wasn't a lot with NBA finals. There's only one series going on, but there's a lot. But let's quickly, I want to get your opinion quickly on my favorite quarterback signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. How big of a disaster do you think that's going to be?
I think it's going to be a train wreck, Tone.
I think this will be the first year they've finished below 500 since Mike Tomlin's been coach.
If it wasn't the Steelers, Tomlin would get fired. That if it wasn't Pittsburgh, because this is who Pittsburgh is. They're very confident, and they're very loyal to their. They only had 3 coaches in the last 60 years, right?
Ever.
Yeah. I'm sorry, ever. They've only had 3 coaches, and Mike Tomlin, he's been there for almost 20 years. So if it wasn't in Pittsburgh, Aaron Rodgers would get Mike Tomlin fired. 100% he would get him fired.
I agree.
I see this as one of those half a mile freight trains coming off the tracks and just shutting down traffic for miles. Aaron Rodgers is 41. Was he 41? He's 41 years old. He can barely throw past 40 yards. He run like he got a piano on his back. He's always injured. This was 3 years too late, and this is going to be a disaster in Pittsburgh.
They got DK Metcalf.
That's even worse. That's even worse. Because DK Metcalf I think he's a top 10 wide receiver in the game, and because of that, he needs somebody to throw to him. And Aaron Rodgers would have been great 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Today, no, not so much.
Well, even 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, he would just not take you to the Super Bowl anyway. So who cares? So listen, this weekend, the basketball organization that I coach for had our end of year banquet, and we did what was I going to say? It's an end of year banquet. I don't know what I'm other than we were doing an end of year banquet. And while one of the people was presenting, he said, we talked about the types of, the players that have kind of come through our organization throughout the years. A little brag session, I guess, right?
Yep.
And he brought up this picture. And he said, I'm very proud to say, like, we had these specifically two people playing, like that came up through our organization.
Really?
And now they're, playing in the NBA. So I'm going to ask you if I'll give you a hint. It's the person on the left and the person on the right, not the person in the middle.
Yeah.
Any guesses who the person on the right is? When I say right, I'm
my right. So
number 10. Number 10. It's probably easier if I call out their number.
Number 10. He looks familiar.
I'll give you a hint. He plays for the Timberwolves.
That's his cousin.
Whose cousin?
No, that's that for the Timberwolves. So he plays for let's see. Who am I thinking about that plays for the Timberwolves? That's not Rudy. That's not Nas. That's not Alexander Walker.
It is Alexander Walker.
That's his cousin Shay over there on the
that's Shay there on the left. Yes,
yeah,
so that's
Shay.
That's them playing. That's Nickeil Alexander Walker on the right and Shay on the left. And all I could say to him when he said this was like one of our teams, obviously this is about 15 years ago, when they would have been 11, 12 years old, kind of coming up to our organization. And I said, I need a few different players on my roster.
For real.
I need these guys. I would look like a much better coach.
They got a factory going on up there for real. If you got that kind of thing running through there. Yes, sir.
So, the whole point of this was, look, it doesn't matter where you start. Like it's about where you finish was his whole thing of this. But this picture had been sent to him. I don't think anyone even knew this picture existed.
Nope.
So it was kind of a cool moment for the kids as they're getting their awards and their MVPs and all that kind of stuff to be like, and here's a couple of guys you might know. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool.
Oversized uniforms.
Yeah, back 15 years ago. Yeah, that was
big draws and big shirts.
we all had those back then.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And next, I starred this comment because it is a good segue into what I'm going to tell you and watch that Power Moves on Netflix about Shaq and Iverson trying to revive Reebok.
Sure.
After hearing about Carrington and Reese have been doing since that documentary has come out. So first, let's start with have you heard anything about how is Reebok? Like, I know they bought by Adidas, so they were kind of buried there for a while.
Right.
How do you, what is your take on Reebok right now as a brand?
To be honest with you, I didn't even know that they still existed. The last thing that I knew, I'd be lying to you if I did, Tone. I thought that they were over. When I found out that Adidas had acquired them, I was thinking, I didn't even know that they still were, a thing. Because the last that I had heard about Reebok was when they had Iverson, right? When they had Shaq. Rayman was with them. So this was in like the 90s, Tone. Like in the 2000s and in the 2010s, nobody was really paying attention to Reebok. They were over. I remember we wore Reebok because they sponsored the youth games in '88. But other than that, I don't remember anything about Reebok. And the idea that Shaq is trying to revive this thing, I mean, I don't think it's going to be what it was.
Remember the Reebok, the Answers?
I had a pair.
Everybody had a pair.
I had a pair, and I don't wear Reebok. I don't even wear the Reeboks that Shaq gave me. And he gave me he gave me a pair of the joints with the
OG ones with the spinner thing on the side.
I ain't even wear those, but I did wear a pair.
The spinner or the pump on the tongue.
No.
The spinner thing on the side. Yeah.
Yep. I did have a pair of pump.
Because I had a pair of pumps. I'm not gonna lie. I had a pair.
Yes, I did. I'm lying. Let me get it. Let me stop lying because yes, I did. When D Brown in '91 pumped it up, I was like,
I did the fake blindfold. Yeah.
But to be honest with you, Tone, I didn't know anything about Reebok being coming back in effect. If Adidas, how does that work? If Adidas has acquired them, Adidas has acquired them as a spinoff to Adidas? Or
no, it's just another brand. It's like I believe Nike owns, I want to say Converse.
Yes, they do.
I want to say so. Yeah, so it's just like that. They just keep the brand kind of separate. It'd be like a Toyota, Lexus, right? Okay. It's just another brand for them to try out some stuff on. If anything doesn't work or if it's cheap, if there's
it stays right here though, the money stays right here.
The money stays here, but if there's an executive we need to move over because
He's not really getting it done. So we
fire him because he's been here
yeah,
too long. Yeah, let's put him
yeah,
over in the Reebok division.
right.
Do you know who the biggest star is on the Reebok roster right now?
I think it's Angel Reese.
How is she popular? Because it ain't because of basketball.
Well, I think it's more because of her look, and basketball is a tool to get her out there for her to show what she looked like. But other than that, I mean, I think she's
I'm
the
sorry,
most
she's a
popular one.
horrible basketball player.
No, she doesn't suck, Tone. That's not true.
Yes, she
just can't
does.
no, she does not suck, Tone. She just can't
She
make layups.
sucks.
And I think it's upstairs too.
She can't make. Just think about
Yeah,
what you said. She can't. Okay, wait. Can she make layups? No. Can she make a jump shot? No. Can she shoot threes?
Yes, she can.
No,
She can make it. Yes,
No,
she
she
can.
can't. No, she can't.
Tone, I watched her last season, and I watched her a little bit of this season. She's actually stretching the defense a little bit. She's actually getting better.
She's shooting 12%.
Where's she shooting 12% at, Tone?
3.
Right. I ain't talking about 3. I'm talking about in the mid-range, Tone.
She
She's much
shoots
better.
35% overall.
Right. The point is that she's gotten
And
better.
hold on. So she can't make a layup. Let me finish. She can't make a layup. She can't hit a mid-range. She can't hit a 3. She can't hit a free throw. She can't pass. She can't defend. She can't block shots. She can't get steals. All she does, better than anyone who's ever done it, is rebound.
So she was able, she didn't have this problem when she was in college. She made layups.
Hey, who cares? That's college.
She shot over 50% from the floor when she was in college. And on top of that, when she got to the NBA, she wasn't this bad. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I think that the main thing, Tone, is not the main thing. I think that her being focused more on the other stuff is screwing up her basketball.
Her fame does not match her game, is my point.
Yes.
So she's famous for being famous. She's not being famous for playing basketball. And then I see, pardon my language, sorry, Fluent Jr., shit like this. Sportswoman of the Year?
Sportswoman of the Year, yep.
Are you kidding me? For the third time in a row, are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Sportswoman of the Year, Angel Reese.
You couldn't find a better athlete. You're telling me you couldn't find a better athlete?
If we're really gonna do that, I mean, I think Nafisa could have been Sportswoman of the Year. I think Asia Wilson could have been.
Asia Wilson, it was the first one. I'm like, if you want to put, listen, I appreciate them putting a WNBA player on it because that's great for the game. Put one that knows how, put one that can play.
And I ain't even talking about WNBA. What's the lady's name that she runs track? She went to the same high school my niece goes to.
Oh, Shikari.
No, not Shikari, the other one. She runs the 400 and she's beating everybody like this, Tone. She's incredible. She's from Jersey. Oh, forget her name, light-skinned chick. She's fantastic. She very much has the goods to be Sportswoman of the Year. She was great.
There's probably 20 people before this one. And look, again, you want to put famous person of the year? Cool. You want to put model of the year? You want to put she's beautiful? No problem. Basketball, athleticism. No, she's not it. Not from a basketball perspective. I'm sorry. This has nothing to do with her as a person. It has nothing to do with the color of her skin because people
We're just talking about on the court, Tone. That's it. We're just talking about on the court.
Oh, you're a hater. You're racist. No, I watch basketball.
And right now, she's not good. No,
she's not.
She can't make layups. No, she can't. She can't make layups. And she's worked with Lisa Leslie. She's been working with her team. And first of all, they screwing up in Chicago. They ended up.
That team's horrible.
They're screwing up in Chicago. They ended up firing their coach, and the new coach that they got, he's not very good. He's not good at all. He has no idea about game planning. He has no game plan. I feel like Reese is getting used in so many different ways. If she's just a rebounder and a defender, I mean, I think that's something different if you want to use her that way. But I don't think they know what to do with her because she can't make layups. That's the biggest problem. And I think it's upstairs, Tone. I don't think it's anywhere else.
All I say is she can't do anything except rebound. I'm sorry. She doesn't do anything good enough. She doesn't do anything good enough to be like, if she didn't rebound like that, she wouldn't even be playing. She wouldn't even be in the league.
I don't understand why. I mean, I do understand it because I do think it's upstairs, but I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out why she can't get it together. I do know it's mental, but I mean, at some point, I have to get back to what I was, and I think what I'm looking at is I'm looking at somebody that wants to be famous more than they want to be a ball player.
100%.
And
If she spent as much time going to the Met Gala and modeling and podcasting and making appearances and whatever and saying dumb shit, let's just be honest, like stuff like, I don't know who it was, not, and I know she didn't say this, but well, you do the same thing as LeBron does. You should get paid the same amount of money. I almost had a heart attack when she said, "Oh, if we don't get paid our money, we're not going to go and play." Who's we?
She did say something about sitting out, and I was like, "You of all the people that don't need to be talking about that, not you shouldn't be talking about that." But again, I think she cares more about being famous than she does. I think she cares more about being famous than she does about being a basketball player. That doesn't mean that she doesn't work on her game, but I feel like she used to be really good. I remember her in college, and she's
like 20 and 15 in college.
Yes,
I get it. But how many people have we seen either put up bad numbers and then in college and then do great in the NBA, and vice versa? Like, let's be honest. I don't know. Again, you'll correct me on some of these, but I know there were guys like Dennis Rodman who wasn't a bad shooter in college. Patrick Beverly was a scorer. Wasn't he like the top scorer in I believe in high school, maybe even in college, one of the, for sure in high school he was one of the top scorers.
He averaged almost 40 a game in high school in Chicago.
There you go. And it doesn't translate to the NBA. So I get that there's some piece of, she did something in college and it's not translating to the WNBA, but making an open layup shouldn't be one of them.
It's not one of them. That's why I think that it's upstairs, and I think that she's concentrating on other things more than, I feel like she's concentrating on other things more than she's concentrating on being a basketball player. And I think that that's what's holding her up. I do. Because when you show me that you can actually do it, and I mean, wasn't she, well, Caitlin was rookie of the year, but she made the all-rook team. So she was able to play. I was thinking that this season, she was able to play. I was thinking this season she was going to be much better. I'm not one of these people to bash women's basketball because I'm a big fan of women's basketball. And I love what
I'm not bashing it at all.
But what I'm not going to do, Tone, is I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You suck.
Exactly.
Right? I'm not going to do that. What I am going to do, though, however, is what I am going to do, however, is I'm going to call it how I see it. And I feel like she is concentrating on other things, which is taking her focus away from the game. That's what I think it is more than anything.
I do want to address this really quick because I've seen a lot of people say, well, Jemele Hill said she was going to be the Michael Jordan of the league. And that was a quote that was on a very popular show, a podcast. And I think he was talking to Stephen A. Smith when they were talking about this. And I have heard from Jemele Hill that she never said that.
I'm sure she never said that.
And this is a misrepresentation of her. And I was going to ask you the questions because, she's a friend of the show, been on the show before. When it was the coach and AK, and I don't know if you were around during those days. I'm sure. Should we want to bring her on and clarify some of these?
I would love to have Jemele on. Yes, okay. I would love to have.
So I'll reach out because I've been told she did not say that. So she's very outspoken. She says a lot of things, but
that doesn't sound like something she would say.
Yeah, I don't think that's one of them either. I tend to believe her that she didn't say that.
No, I don't think she said that neither. That just doesn't sound like something that she said.
To my Rodman thing, Rodman was 26 and 16 in college, and people say, hey, you couldn't go. But I think the mental thing is a great point because it gives me Ben Simmons vibes, where she's like she could do stuff. But it's not now. Ben Simmons, I think, just doesn't want to play. Right. But also, I think he was like, I'd rather date, Kylie Jenner than go work on my jumper. Which again,
I think that here's the thing about Ben Simmons, though, Tone. I think Ben actually does want to play. I don't think that he recognized how difficult it was going to be being a pro. I think that he thought it was just going to translate. He wasn't. Who he reminds me of more than anything, he reminds me of Vince Young. Vince Young was the best player in high school. He was the best quarterback in college. And when he got to the pros and he found out that everybody here can do what you do. Like, you're not the only one who can run fast and jump high and throw and got a rocket arm. Excuse me. You actually have to learn the game. And you have to not only just learn the game, but you have to excel at the game. And I don't think he ever adapted to that. Excuse me.
All right.
Because of that.
Do you have some water? Do I get some water? Go get a drink of water. You get a drink of water. I'm going to address Bruce, who said, if she didn't say that, then I apologize. You don't have to apologize because a lot of people have been broadcasting that that's something that she said. So you don't have to apologize, but I have it on good authority from her that she didn't say that. And the one thing I did want to say about this, and then I'll, I didn't want to keep this up this long, but just look at what's happening, right? Like Jalen Hurts wins a Super Bowl. Angel Reese builds her new mansion with the amount of bricks she throws up, and they're the sportsman and woman of the year. It's nuts. It's just nuts. Beautiful house, by the way. Get out of that condo in Chicago that she couldn't afford, so that was good. Not that she couldn't afford. Let me rephrase that. Her WNBA salary couldn't cover.
No,
it's a good thing she's got those, and maybe that's why she spends more time on the endorsement stuff than on basketball. Now it all makes sense. Yep. But like it's just every time I am honestly, I'm critical of her. Yep. I get all these people pushing back so hard, and I'm like, it's not. I'm not being disrespectful. She's just not that good.
And why can't we do that? I mean, we do that all the time with players who aren't.
If it's anybody else, yeah,
right. We do that with players who just aren't that good. That happens.
There's a video. There's a video of her shooting some shot from like half court, but it's like sideline from the sideline, and it misses badly, hits off I want to say the backboard, then hits rim, and then as it's and so as she shoots it, another one goes in. So there's 3 balls that are shot at the same time. The first one goes in, hers hits the backboard, hits the rim, and then as it's going out from the other side of the rim, another ball comes in and hits it and knocks it in, and she's like, "That was mine," and I'm like, "Nah, it wasn't." Like you, and half of the people loved it. Like I can tell you right now, because how many views do you think that has on Instagram?
If I had to guess off the top of my head, 500,000.
500,000. All right. So I'm just pulling up my IG real quick. It now has, and I'll show it to you really quick, and then I'll tell you why it's funny. It now has, of course, when you're not looking for something, it's there. When you're looking for something, you can never find it. All these baseball clips of Fluent Jr. getting in the way.
Yeah.
3.1 million.
Wow.
Of her missing a shot. And here's why so many views. It's because you have these people who like laugh along with it because it's funny.
Yeah.
Right? That someone misses a shot and they're like, "That was mine." And then all these other people calling us like the worst human beings in the world, and we're haters, and why are we always picking on her? And I'm like, am I picking on her by laughing that she thought she got in a basket that didn't go in?
Well, first of all, Tone is a troll, so let's be clear about
3.4 million. Here, you can see it right there. It's 3.4 million. But here's what happened. That is a lot. I'll take it. Here, watch. Well, maybe because I did it in slow motion and showed them how the ball. You can't see it from there, but 3.4 million people, but half of them are like, "You guys suck. You guys are so mean." I'm like, no, it's funny. Like, if you can't, she's a millionaire. How can you laugh at her? That's why I can laugh. Right, that's why I can laugh at her. Right? I'm just saying. Like, I don't even dislike her at all. In fact, here's the funny part. Fluent, man, you picking on her. Really? Because a year and a half ago, when she did this thing, I was defending her because I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. I thought it was hilarious.
Right. I thought it was funny. You can't see me. We just won a championship.
And it's the same people who now say I hate her. Back then are saying, "Good for you, Fluent. Awesome, Fluent." And the same people now who are saying, "Yeah, that's hilarious that you missed that shot." Back then were telling me, why are you glazing her? Why are you simping? I'm like, I'm not. I just think it was funny. I think this was funny.
I thought it was funny too.
It's funny because it is. Yeah, because it is.
I thought it was funny.
Whew. Okay, we got a lot to cover. Game 3 tomorrow. Let's do a quick. We're going to talk about it more at the end, but give me a quick. Because what happened in Game 2 is what I told you was going to happen in Game 1. what happened in game 1 is what I thought was going to happen in game 3. So now we're all over the place. I'm expecting another OKC blowout in game 3. What are you expecting?
I'm expecting them to handle Indiana. Indiana's going to be excited. The home crowd is going to be behind them. I think that they're going to come out firing early, but I think that OKC is going to get it together. I think that they've, in this, with the exception of Memphis, I think that they've lost game 3 in Denver, and they lost game 3 against Minnesota. So, and Indiana is 8-0 in game 3. Yeah, Indiana's 8-0 in game 3. So, I still think that everything that Indiana does, Oklahoma City is going to be able to counter it, and Oklahoma City is going to be able to be sharper. The thing that I'm looking for is I'm looking for how Indiana is going to be able to run on their home floor. That's what I'm thinking about. The thing that I'm thinking about is how Indiana is going to be able to speed up the game on their home floor, because they have not been able to do that at all in their building in Oklahoma City. They have not been able to do that. I feel like Oklahoma City has completely stifled. I think they've completely stifled their transition game. They haven't been able to get anything going whatsoever in their transition game, which makes a lot of sense, and I dig that. I 100% dig that about them. So I feel like everything that Indiana has done from a rotation standpoint, because Coach Rick Carlisle is playing 9-10 guys, which I think is great, but Mark Daigneault has counted that with staying big, and with him staying big with his big lineup and going to the glass in game 2, it really helped. I think he sticks to that, and I think that he's able to get back in transition, and I think that they handle Indiana in game 3. I don't think they smoked them, but I think they handled them in game 3.
If you're the better team, and by everyone's account, OKC had the better record, they're the better team, they have home court advantage, you make the other team adjust to you. So I was actually really surprised that they went away from their big lineup, because that's an advantage that they have. Make them figure it out. Make Indiana figure it out. Make them adjust to you. And then, hey, if it doesn't work, then okay, fine, you start to adjust. But I don't know why you would adjust first. Like, it's like a game of chicken sometimes. I'm like, no, the better team should make the other guys adjust.
Sure. Right.
That being said, I will ask a question. Marcus Brady was asking, how are they 8-0 in game 3s?
I think
like over the last 2 years, over the last over the last 2 playoffs run, this team that went to the Eastern Conference Final and the finals this year are 8-0 in game 3s. Okay, well,
it's not 8-0. I think it's 0-8, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I'm sorry. So Indiana hasn't won a game 3 in the last 8 tries.
No, they haven't. Okay. They lost all 3 this year. They lost to Milwaukee in game 3. They lost to Cleveland in game 3. They lost to the Knicks in game 3. And if I go back to last year in the 24 season, they won game 3 against Milwaukee. Yeah, they won game 3 against the Knicks. And then they lost game 3 against game 3.
So they've lost their last 8 game 3s in a row. Okay, that makes more sense. So that being said, I'm going to just stick with what I predicted. So it's because I said OKC in 5. I'm going to stick with
1 game 3.
OKC in 5 until Indy wins a second game. Now, I thought it was going to be 2 for OKC, Indiana wins game 3, and then 4-5 OKC. Mm-hmm. Instead, it was game 1, and maybe it is like Woodage thinks, another 0-1, where the road team wins game 1, and that's the only one that they win.
I don't think they win another game, Tone. I don't think Indiana's winning another game in the series.
I'm sticking to that, because also what you're seeing is the real Pascal Siakam.
You and this Pascal Siakam thing, Tone. Me and you have gone back and forth with this, and I'm trying to make sense exactly of what your issue. Tone, we know he is a number 2, right? I know for a fact he is a co-star. He is not Bryant.
He is a number 3. He's a number 3 who's a bucket sometimes, but he's inconsistent, and worst of all, he's not that guy at the end of games. He is, by all intensive purposes, because people think because he's the second highest scorer on a team that he's the number 2.
That doesn't make you the number 2.
And I'm saying, and that's why I'm saying is no, he might be the second highest scorer, average the second most amount of points, but he has to be the third best player on your team. Even when you look at the Raptors team where he won a title, Kawhi was the clear-cut one.
Right.
Pascal was still young back then, and he was putting up points. But if you look at it, it was kind of, number two by committee, because sometimes it was Lowry, sometimes it was Gasol, sometimes it was Ibaka, sometimes it was Pascal, sometimes it was Fred VanVleet. Like they kind of took turns over, like who was going to be the second option, and so again, just by default, he was probably the second highest scorer. But I don't think that makes you the second. I think Lowry was probably the number two on that team because he was the leader, like the vocal leader of the team. Because
haven't we seen that before, Tone? I mean,
that's okay. But I'm just saying, if you're relying on him night in and night out to be your best player, you're going to be
your best player or your best scorer, Tone, because those two things aren't the same thing.
Either one. If he's your best of either one night in and night out, you're in trouble.
Because I think Pascal Siakam, when he gets going, the way he gets going is the most important thing. And the way he gets going, he's one of the best transition players in the game, Tone. I don't think that there's 5 transition players in the game better than him. That's what gets his game going.
Let's be clear. I'm not saying he sucks.
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I'm not saying you're saying that. What I'm saying is the way he gets going is you speed the game up. When you speed the game up, you make him way more effective.
100%.
So now when a team is slowing down the game, or now when a team is not necessarily tired out, but now we beat up on you a little bit with our transition game, he's much more effective in the one-on-one. He's great in that mid-range. He's great on the box. When we actually get him in rhythm, and how do we get him in that rhythm? We got to make the game faster. That hasn't been going on with this Oklahoma City, and hasn't been going on with this.
Well, it did. Like if you look at game 1, he was very efficient. Right, I think he scored. What was it, like 19 points or something?
Yeah.
In game 2,
six guys, sure.
In game 2, they slow it down. He still puts up I think he had 15, 17, but he was like 3 of 11. Very inefficient because he wasn't getting those easy he's super long, right? So he gets these weird looking long layups and dunks and whatever. Yeah, that gets him going. The problem is in all of those games, I've challenged you to do this before. Go watch any playoff game and just watch the last minute.
And I don't get a lot from him. In a Knick game,
you don't get a lot from him in that last minute. And I don't know if it's because it tightens up even more. And so in that last minute, it's there's less of that kind of, like you're saying, those fast breaks and those easy kind of things that get him going, and he starts to tighten up. So that's something he has to work on. Still a very, very, very good player who could be a second highest scorer, third best player on a championship team. He's proven that. And it's just I feel like when Halliburton's having an off night, which his first 2 games have been off nights, unfortunately, and you got to rely on him.
Well, I think that we can rely on him, and I think the difference is we got to get back
game, not for a series.
I think he can give me a game. I think he can give me 2 games. Now he's not throwing us on his back in the series. He's not doing that.
Yeah, he's not that.
He's not doing that. He's not that good. But I think he can give me a game like he did in the Knicks series, right? Like he did in the Milwaukee series or in the Cleveland series. He'll give me a game, maybe even 2 games. He can give me that. I think we got to get back to playing fast. That's the key to this whole thing, Tom.
Yeah. For Indiana, 100%.
Yes, that's the key. And I think that because Oklahoma City has been so good not even so good. So let me rephrase that. Because they've been so conscious about slowing them down, that I think that's affected Pascal Siakam's game. The pickup point way higher with Casey Wallace. He's picking up full court. When the ball comes off the glass, they finding these guys even before they cross half court. They're picking those guys up to slow them down, right? Guys, the big guy run into the rim, and the big guys run into the rim because turn get to check there, right? Get to the half court. Or Hartenstein's already at half court. So all of that stuff is already going on before they even try to run. Now, with that being said, how can we make this thing faster? Well, Tone, we have to force this action. We can't just allow them to stop our transition game, even if it means turning the ball over a couple times. We still have to force the action. We still got to get into our transition. Otherwise, this slowdown game, this half-court game, that's not us. That is not us, because Oklahoma City is too good as a half-court defense in order for us to get into a half-court offense with them. No, that's not going to work. If this is what's going to continue, I don't have Indiana winning another game in this series.
Oh, you don't have Indiana. I don't have them winning another game either way. So,
I don't.
we're going to see if these guys who are suggesting EJ, who's suggesting they're going to go Thomas Bryant, Miles Turner, double big to counter. I don't know that that's a solution because that's just going to slow down the game. That's not going to speed it up. So, interesting to see how that kind of happens on the other side of the ball. OKC. We keep saying this. I said it last year with Boston. I'm going to say it again this year with OKC. OKC looks like a great young team that can maybe string a couple together. They have a guy in SGA who is the scoring leader, reigning MVP, and he's putting up Mamba minutes, Mamba stat lines. So let me break this down for you. Kobe's playoff stats: 25.6, 5.1 rebounds, 4.7 assists, 1.4 steals, 0.7 blocks. SGA 25.3, 5.5, 5.7. Damn, one more assist. That one more assist, by the way, forget, I'll talk about it after. 1.4 steals, 0.9 blocks. People are now, because we're so into math skitball, I stole that from Ox, that people see numbers that are similar or the same and think they're the same player.
I don't think these guys are close, Tone, to be honest with you, in terms of, I don't, as good as SGA is, and this kind of stuff drives me crazy, right? This kind of stuff drives me crazy because this has been going on since the 80s, and like this guy is the equivalent to this guy. The reason why they're doing this is because we miss these guys so much. That's why they comparing him to Bryant, because they want to see Bryant back. That's why they compare Anthony Edwards to Jordan, because we miss Jordan. That's why they compare a big to Shaq, because we miss Shaq. These guys aren't coming back. SGA, this 25 a game, Tone, just so you know, with the exception of these NBA finals, I mean, I don't think he was great in that Denver series. I think he was good in that Denver series. He was not good in that Memphis series. He was good. He was really good in the Minnesota series. This is only the second time that he's been great this is only the second time that he's been damn good in the playoffs and great in the playoffs, where his game translated from the regular season. Last year, he was not good in the playoffs. And by the way, this 25.6 from Bryant, that's throughout the course of his 20-year career. This is like 8 playoff series with Bryant. I mean, with
you know that this is wrong, right?
What's wrong?
Where'd you get these? Who sent you this?
Well, here's the thing. This is what Kobe Bryant averages. That's what Kobe Bryant averages.
Kobe averages for his career in the playoffs. He averages 25 a game.
Yeah.
So it's close. This is 25.6. It's actually 25. 4.7 assists is correct, but it's 5.2 rebounds. I know it's off by a little bit. It's 0.5 blocks, not 0.7. Right. It's just a little off. So
it's still the same. It's still the same. But again,
points made. But I just.
But again, the 25 a game, that's over the course of Bryant's career.
You're right.
Right? That's not. I mean, SGA's been to the playoffs. He was there in the bubble. You didn't have any idea who he was in the bubble. And after the bubble, you saw him last year in the playoffs. He wasn't great. This year, much better, where his game is translated. But him and Bryant, and I've gotten into this conversation, which drives me nuts, because I don't think that they're anything alike. I think Bryant is a better athlete. I think Bryant plays above the rim. I think Bryant is nicer with the peel. I think his mid-range game, I think SGA's mid-range game is comparable. I'm not going to argue that. I think that SGA in the mid-range is fantastic. I think Bryant is better at finishing at the rim. He's a better defender. All of that stuff makes you elite. I think that it's SGA. I think that it's Bryant, and I think it's SGA. I don't think these guys, and on top of that, I don't think that SGA's game is comparable to Bryant. I don't think they play anything alike. I don't think that their games are alike at all. Bryant is much better as an athlete, I think. I think he plays above the rim a lot more. I think he attacks the rim a lot more. I mean, even though there's people who will tell you that Bryant or SGA attacks the rim more, but Bryant plays above the rim, dunking on big guys. I don't see the similarities in their game. I don't.
Yeah, I'm not biased at all. But I don't see it. And here's again
Yep.
another reason why I say, look, I want to wait until their career is over, but
Mhm.
I get you trying to compare. Um, but like you can't compare someone's 20-year numbers to someone's 3-year numbers because there's ups and downs, there ebbs and flows. There's things that happen. Like you're using Kobe's rookie season where he averaged 7 points a game in the playoffs into that, right? Like it's
In the
just
finals, when he averaged 15 a game in the
yeah,
finals.
it's too early to make these comparisons. I don't think that's the comparison, but you're right. I think we miss these old players, and we want to make them relatable. And the easiest way to do that is say, well, this is like the next Kobe, this is the next Mike, this is the next Magic, this is, and I'm like, nah, they're like the first them
Tone,
because
didn't we do
everybody
this?
who the next whoever is, they're never the next whoever. They're always something different.
Did we not, Tone, just do this in 2021 when the Phoenix Suns was in the finals and we heard the comparisons of Devin Booker, Bryant, and I'm like, wait a
Oh
minute.
yeah,
He doesn't play anything like Bryant.
Brian.
Those
No,
two guys are not even close to the same. But to your point, this is what we want to see the next iteration. And I understand, and you and I have had this conversation, Tone. I understand the logic of the generational guard. I get that part, right? I'm not going to argue that part. I understand that you being a generational guard, you're matched up against your generation. And then we move into different spaces, which I never really got an opportunity to ask you, Tone. So this kid, SGA, let's rewind the clock, Tone, back to 2015. Let's drop him in 2015. What does he look like with Irv and Curry and Westbrook and Chris Paul, Damian Lillard and Rondo? What does he look like amongst that pantheon of guard?
this version of him
This guy right here in
this guy
2025.
right here he'll be in
James
that
Harden, by the way, too.
yeah,
I'm not going to
he'll
leave
be
that
in
out.
that conversation. He'll be in the mix, and he'll be in the kind of middle of that mix. Some will have him a little higher, some will have him a little lower. But he's in that mix, but I don't
Sure.
think he's leaps and bounds. I don't think he's in the MVP conversation.
I don't think so neither, to be honest with you.
And I love SGA. I'm just like, we are in a state right now where we have a lot of really good players, and SGA kind of found the right situation. Because here's the other thing: he's a really good defender,
I think so.
but he's not the top 3 on his own team, and so some of that gets lost. So when you say drop him back in 2015, I have is questions. I had no answers, right? I'll be like, well, what team is he on? What system
Right.
is he playing in? Right?
I
Where,
want to take him. So take Jeff Teague off that Atlanta team and drop SGA and put him on that Atlanta team that was in the East Finals against James. I want that won 21 straight games, because again, we got him on this really good Oklahoma City team. I want to take SGA and I want to drop him on that Atlanta team and take Jeff Teague out. What does that team look like? And the reason why I'm asking you this, Tone, is because I'm thinking about what you just said to me about being in the league MVP conversation. Who was around during that time?
the team, listen, I think because you're replacing Jeff Teague, that team becomes better.
Mm-hmm.
I think that team was extremely overrated. That being said, they probably lose to the Cavs, but I think he puts up a lot of points, and I think it's a closer series.
I don't
Like,
think it's a
I
close
think
series.
5 games, 6. Like, what didn't they sweep Atlanta? Like,
That was without Irv too, by the way, Tone. They swept them.
yeah, I know. Well,
missed
that's
2
what
of
I'm
the 4
saying. It's
games.
just that team to me was always just like, there's regular season teams, there's dominant teams, which is regular season in the playoffs. There's regular season teams and there's playoff teams.
Mhm.
That Atlanta team was a regular season team, and they were a regular season team because it reminds me, not the same style of play at all. But I said this during the Phoenix run with Mike D'Antoni. I'm like, yeah, these guys get up and down the court. They score a lot of points. They're going to be great in the regular season. They're going to win 50, 60 games. They're going to score 120 points. But that's not playoff basketball. Playoff basketball is different. And I didn't think they were built to win in the playoffs. Now, there were some things that happened that made my prediction correct. But even at the time, I said, this team's not going to succeed in the playoffs. And they didn't, because they were built for the regular season. And you're seeing it now. As much as we talk about the 3-point revolution and the openness and what's dominating these playoffs? Defense, mid-range. That's dominating the playoffs. This year in 2025, it's dominating the playoffs.
Which, by the way, I've been told that the mid-range is the most inefficient shot in basketball, according to the analytics.
According to just shooting and numbers, like math, it is.
Yeah.
But that's why I keep telling you, I know you agree with when I say this, but that's the difference between math and basketball, is because although mathematically it looks inefficient, in an era where teams play some type of zone and a lot of switching on defense, there are holes especially in zones and specifically in switching defenses. And guess where those holes are? They're in the mid-range, because they don't want to get killed by a dunk. They don't want to get killed by a three, because we both know those are the two scores the most points and it has the highest field goal percentage, right? Dunks are like 70%, layups 70%. And three is worth more than two. So you can't guard everything. So what gets left open?
Right.
The middle of the court. So if you can be good at the mid-range, well, now you're going to put people in a position where they're like, well, either we're going to give this up all night and get cooked, or we're going to start to collapse. And the second you collapse, well, guess what happens? Now I get those open threes and I get those dunks, and now you're cooked. So it all actually starts from there. Part two of that is, when I'm in that mid-range, I'm not just shooting from there, because people always think, oh, I'm just shooting from the mid-range. No, if I get the ball in the mid-range and I know anything about passing, well, they can't just leave me open. So someone's going to have to leave their position. And again, it's either an easy loop, a kick to the corner, pop it back out to the top of the key for an open shot. Like, everything can be orchestrated so much easier from that top of the key, that elbows extended, that area of the court. Well, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. You're cooked if I get the ball there.
That's the idea.
Add to that is, if I have that, and all I need is one step to get into the key, guess what you're doing to me? You're fouling me, because I know that I get fouled on those one dribble drives. If I only need one step, which most guys in the NBA now, some of them can do it from the 3-point line, but I only need one step from the foul line to get to the hoop. You're fouling me. Well, now I'm putting your bigs in foul trouble. If it's a guard who's collapsing down in foul trouble, I'm slowing down the game. I'm getting free throws. Now you got to sub that guy off because you got 3 quick fouls. Now your whole rotation changes. Everything you plan to do, and we know coaches plan the entire, it's all different now. If I can do that to you, you're cooked. You're cooked.
I have to disagree with you, Tone, on that Atlanta team. I just think they ran into James. I think that they were a lot better than you give them credit for. I think that they were a really good defensive team. I thought that they had a lot of really good parts. I think that they just ran into James. Their brand of basketball, with Kyle Korver stretching the defense the way he did, knocking down the long ball. I loved how Paul Millsap and Al Horford complemented each other as bigs, and Paul Millsap played, to your point, in the mid-range, how good of a defensive player Al Horford was, and he played a lot of 5 and was able to be a stretch 5. I just think that they ran into James, and James at that point was Thanos. That was the biggest problem.
I said the same thing about Atlanta that I say about the Raptors. They won a lot of games in the regular season, and there was one guy in the East that stopped them. However, that has to play into account. That's why I say I think they're overrated, because they had 5 All-Stars. Sure, yeah, 100%. And All-Stars are voted based on what?
Votes from the fans.
The first 50 games of the season, and fandom. So if your team's winning a bunch of games, a bunch of people are watching, they're going to get these. So I have the most disrespect for the All-Star selections as anyone in the world. But when I look at that team, you brought up Kyle Korver. That's a bench player. You brought up Jeff Teague. That's a bench player. Al Horford and Millsap.
He's an All-Star.
I just told you what I think about All-Stars.
The All-Star team.
Paul Millsap and Al Horford are great, and I'd love to have them both on my team. One starting, one coming off the bench.
Right.
Even at their best. Sorry, I don't want them both. If they both have to start, I have a hole in my team. And so that's, again, I'm not saying that they're bad. Overrated doesn't mean bad.
Right.
I'm just saying their record outshone their.
So that 21, so that 22 out of 23 games stretch. Like all of
Listen,
that was just smoke and mirrors.
How many games did LeBron James and the Cavs win in 2000 and was it 8-9?
They won 66 games that year.
That team was over damn-rated for anyone.
Oh, they were definitely fool's gold, no doubt about that. I said that.
And look, they're not that bad. But what I'm saying is there's just teams that have a way of winning in the regular season that I didn't think could translate. And that's what I mean. I didn't think what they did translated to the playoffs of that time. Mm-hmm. And maybe it was that they just read into James. Sure, maybe if he didn't exist, they go to the NBA final. Maybe
they would have.
But when I look, am I right about everything? No. But when I sit there and I say that team in the moment, I said, these guys aren't going anywhere in the playoffs, and they don't. Then I'm like, okay, then I think they're a little right, because everyone said, oh, look how they did in the regular season. They're going to the finals. Right. Nope, they didn't. So you're right. You probably have them higher than I have them.
I do.
But I look at that team. You know me. I look at things from a different lens. I don't look at what they do well. I look at what they can't do.
Right.
I always look at a player, at a team, all of them. What can't they do? Because if they don't have the ability to make their weakness a strength, they're going to lose.
And that blinds you, Tone, because you look at them,
or maybe it makes my eyes open because I don't.
No, what it does, Tone, is it puts blinders on you because, like you just said, I'm focused on what you're not good at and how when you run up on a really good team, how they're going to expose that.
Right,
that's where you are.
Right.
Instead of I'm looking at how good you are and how you can cover that up.
But I look at. Let's be clear. I look at that, but I look at that as the secondary thing. So I look at the flaws first, and then their positive second to see if it's enough to cover those flaws. I have to identify their flaws first, right? I do a SWOT. You remember SWOT analysis? I do a SWOT analysis. I look at their strengths, their weaknesses, what opportunities they have, and their threats. Mm-hmm. And so if I don't know, the problem is, and I know you do this just opposite. You look at what's wrong too. But what most people do is say, look at how good this team does this, and they ignore everything else, right? Look how good Boston shoots the three, and they ignore that. Yeah, but when they do that, Tatum stands out there and waits for it, and it changes his game completely, and it makes them susceptible to losing just as big as they can win. So I look at that, and I look at their flaws, and I say, when their three is off, that's a weakness. How are they going to combat that? Do they drive to the basket? Do they play good enough defense? And if the answer is yes, then I'm like, okay, I'm cool. If the answer is nope, if they don't shoot the three well, they lose every single game. Well, then I'm like, well, then they got to. Then I'm like, I'm not picking them to win because they don't do enough on the positive to cover up these negatives, and that's all. Yeah, this that's how I be. All right, so that was. I don't even remember what the hell we were talking about.
We're talking about the finals and how.
Oh yes,
Indiana paces. We're talking about the finals and how Indiana's going to get back in the series. And I don't think that they're going to get back in the series. I think that they're going to try to get back in the series by speeding up the game. They're going to try to get back in the series by forcing the action. That's the only way that they're going to get back in it. We got to get back to playing Indiana Pacers basketball. Junk offenses. And I said this, Tone, you're a football guy, and you can appreciate this. I think one of the biggest problems that Tyrese Halliburton is having right now when it comes to the offense, it's almost like a quarterback who, when he comes up from center, he's hitting this guy in the slant on a hot read. And the reason why he's hitting this guy on a hot read is because I don't have time to go through my progressions. Okay, he's not open, but he's open. I don't have time to do that. Tyrese Halliburton doesn't have time to do that when he crosses half court, because as soon as he crosses half court, he's not open. I got to go to the first guy that's open. I don't have time to go through my progressions. So he's getting off the ball and he's giving the ball to Mathurin, and he's not getting it back. He's their primary playmaker. He's the guy that's getting downhill, making plays, kind of like Luka, except he doesn't shoot it as much. Kind of like Brunson, except he passes more. But the difference is once he gets off the ball, they're not letting him get it back, which makes now Obi Toppin a playmaker, which makes Mathurin now a playmaker, which makes Nesmith now a playmaker, which makes, to your point, which makes Siakam more of a playmaker. Well, if you're the opposition, I want that. I absolutely want that. I want those guys with the ball in their hands making plays as opposed to Tyrese Halliburton, because they play much better off of him than he does off of them.
And that's why I like what you said about they just need to play fast, right? Like I watched every Laker game, and Magic had more turnovers than anybody else. But you know what? I'm okay with him averaging 4 turnovers a game because he was averaging 11, 12 assists, right? Like he was making it work, and it put so much pressure on the defense that there was no break. And I think sometimes the Pacers are just like, I don't know if they're tired. I don't know if they just allow the other team to dictate the pace, but they go slower than they want to. And it's just like, no, go. Don't worry. Make the bad pass every once in a while. Go ahead. Force it, because one's going to get in there, and then it's going to get everybody going. So let's see if they do that. Like I said, I don't think either one of us has them winning another game in the series, but let's be clear. I want it to go 7. Let's be clear. I want it to go 7.
Hell yeah. No,
I want it to go 7.
Not many people want to see a sweep.
No, I don't want to see like game 2. I want to see 5 more games like game 1.
Of course. Kind of like what's going on with Edmonton and the Panthers. That's what we want to see. 2 overtime games. Like yesterday's game was an anomaly. I'm not.
Yeah, that 6-1 game's crazy, but
I think that was an anomaly.
Game one. I'm in Prince Edward Island for work, and we after the day of golfing, we're at the 19th hole, which is the best hole on the course. That's where you get a few of these. Let's call them waters. And we're watching the game, and it's 3-1 for Florida, and people start to like file out. And then it's 3-2, and a couple of them start to trickle back in, right? Because we're in Canada, everyone's cheering for everything. Then it's 3-3, and this crowd starts to trickle back in, and then it goes into overtime, and it's like, hold on, there's more people here now than there was before.
Yo, who is this guy in our chat, Mel Gibson? Mel, who do you think you calling out?
Who's Mel Gibson?
Yeah, who is this guy? I better say this. Does SGA have the playoff resume that Jason Tatum has? He does not. Does SGA have an NBA championship? He does not.
He might.
Does SGA have all these all-NBA performances like Jason Tatum does? He does not. That's what I was going off of. I don't better do anything. Who are you to call me out? You're here because of us. Man, you better shut up talking to me.
Why is everybody who says anything bad about Tatum get you so upset?
I'm sick of dudes like this right here. I mean, don't get me wrong, Tone. I'm 100% confident. I'm 100% confident that we have to talk about SGA. If they win the NBA championship this year, I'm 100% confident we got to talk about him different, because I did the same thing. And Tone, I've actually said this to you in the past about Tim Duncan in 01-02, right? I've said this when he won the league MVP in 02, then won it again in 03, won the NBA championship, won the finals MVP. When he did that, I was like, that's the best player in the world. Even with Shaq being around and KG and Allen Iverson, I was like, that's the best player in the world. I stayed consistent with it because I did the same thing with Bryant in 2008, 2009. Even though I thought James was the better player, I'm like, what Bryant did 08, 09, 10, when he did that, I got to give it up. That's the best player in the world. I did the same thing with Giannis. I did the same thing with James in 12, 13. I did the same thing with Giannis when he won the league MVP in 19 and 20 and then won the NBA championship. I've been consistent with my logic.
So you feel if SGA as the scoring champ, MVP, NBA champ, finals MVP, I'm projecting, that would then put him for the summer as the best player in the world?
We have to have a different conversation about him, Tone. Yeah, I do feel like that. Yes, I do. Considering what he did, this will be the 3rd straight year. I think this is the 3rd straight year that he's first team All-Pro. 3rd straight year he's first team All-Pro. Led the league in scoring, won the league MVP. So he's got a resume to back up. He didn't just walk into being and the winning, in my estimation, the winning is what separates guys. I've always felt like that. Now, don't get me wrong, the winning isn't the end all be all, because the winning, that's just a box that's checked. But if you do that and the other stuff I feel like is close, I mean, I feel like the winning definitely separates you. And with SGA, we got to have a different conversation about him. I think Joker is a better player than him. I'm not going to argue that. But when Joker did this, and he didn't, even though he didn't lead the league in scoring, but when Joker did what SGA did, we had already crowned him as the best. He was crowned as the best player in the world, considering what he had already done previous to that. It's not like Joker just showed up on the scene out the blue and just did that. No, that's not what happened. He had already won the league MVP a couple of different times. Not only did he win the league MVP a couple of different times, gets to the NBA championship. Once he does that, I mean, we having a different conversation. We have to have a different conversation about him. We can't just talk about him like, well, he's on his way, because we didn't do that with Jordan. We did not do that with Jordan. When Jordan won the NBA championship in 91, bing, it's official.
Well, no, I didn't, but yes, some of you did. Yes, I didn't crown him that quick. We talked. I'm going to stick on the finals. One more thing. We got other topics to get to, but
Sure.
the whole point of today was talking about X factors. And so that's not SGA. He's not the X factor. He's the best player on either team. We talked about Siakam. We talked about Halliburton. Is Chet Holmgren the key to OKC winning this series?
I've always felt like that, Tone. When they got him back last year, I felt like he gave them a dynamic that they didn't have. A stretch big who could get to the rim, one of the better rim protectors, even in his first year, because he had missed that first year. But even in that first year, I felt like he gave them something that they didn't have. I don't think you can replace Alex Caruso, and I'm not going to argue that point. Alex Caruso,
man, he's having the playoffs.
Oh, he's been awesome, hasn't he? I mean,
he's great in the Laker uniform. Oh wait, we had him.
I'm sorry. Hey, you know what? I understand that you might be single. You might not be seeing somebody. I know somebody that you might go out with. Oh, wait a minute. You was going out with my man. He ended up dumping you. So
every time I see him having a good game, I'm just like,
I drank a beer. I drank another beer.
I can't.
When I think about Chet, Tone, I think about what the game is today, how wide open the game is, and how if you got a stretch big who can put the ball on the floor, who can get to the rim, who can protect the rim, but not only that, who can put so much pressure on the defense, on the perimeter, who can put so much pressure on the defense, I think that makes your offense so much more viable. And then on the defensive end, you got a rim protector like Chet who can block shots, who can man the paint like he does. And there are times when he can be vulnerable at the rim. 100%. I said that about when they played against Minnesota. I thought Anthony Edwards could have his way with Chet at the rim.
Sure.
And I felt like there were times that happened. And I think the same thing happened in the series. However, when he's given them that one thing that other teams aren't, he's the difference in this series.
Yeah, and that's why I put his long, skinny butt on our thumbnail, because I'm like, I look at this series, and I don't say this disrespectfully, but I know what I'm going to get from SGA, right? Like, okay, there's going to be an anomaly game, but for the most part, I know what SGA is going to give me. I know what J-Dub's going to give me. I know what Halliburton's going to give me. I know what Siakam's going to give me. Like, I know what, but I'm like, if he plays, he's the one that's going to make a difference, whether it's shown in the stat sheet or not. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, if he were out, I'd be like, oh, this is going to be a series. I think he's the one kind of and I don't even like, let's just be very clear, I don't even like Chet. I don't like his game. I don't like how he does it. I don't like how he looks. I don't like his build. But I'm just like, but damn it, when he can do so many things because of his size and because of his skill set. I'm like, damn it. Like, he is going to be the one that it's like, how do we not let him impact the game?
Yeah.
And I don't know that they can. I don't know that I don't think they have the roster to do that.
They don't.
And so when I looked, and why I said 5, it wasn't just because SGA, and it wasn't just because I was like, Caruso's going to play like he played great defense against Jokic. So and again, I expect that. I'm like, but I don't know what to expect from Chet. And when he does stuff, I'm just like, oh, that's the difference. It's you're going to look back and no one will talk about it. No one will talk about him, but go back and watch the series and you'll be like, oh, yeah, okay. Yeah. He's that. And when I say X factor, that's why, I think a lot of people have a different thought process on what that means. And for me, it's like someone who you didn't expect to impact the game in ways that you didn't expect, right? Because that's the X, that's the variable, that's the unknown, right? If it's a known, like, I know LeBron's going to do 27, 7, and 7.
Sure.
I know Jordan's going to put up 35, 5, and 4. Like, I know that. I don't know what the other dudes like. This other dude's going to do, and will it affect the game? So that's my guy. So I thought he needed to be shouted out a little bit, because I don't think we give those guys enough airtime, because it's easy not easy, but it's easier to talk about SGA and Halliburton because, well, heck, everybody knows what we're talking about.
Right.
We're talking about Chet, and you're talking about stretch and what he's doing here and what he's doing there. And like, really, he does that? I'm like, yeah, he does those things.
Yes.
So it's interesting. Speaking of interesting, I heard a scary rumor, and here's how the rumor goes: Jason Kidd wants to coach New York. New York wants Jason Kidd to coach New York.
Mm-hmm.
And Giannis Antetokounmpo wants Jason Kidd, his former head coach, to coach in New York. In fact, I heard a story that when Jason Kidd was fired from the Milwaukee Bucks,
Mm-hmm.
Giannis called him and said, "Do you want me to call ownership and make them unfire you?" Is this all? Is this all? My kind of
Conspiracy theory,
or you think there's some truth to this?
I think that there's some truth from the Knicks standpoint. Of course, that they're going to target him, but Tone, I've always thought about this like a guy who has somebody, and he's got somebody, and that woman is just not available, but somebody's going to step to her. Hey, what's up with homegirl? And then immediately her guy comes over and goes, what's up with homegirl? She's not available. No, absolutely not. And then when I think about Jason Kidd in Dallas, is Jason Kidd available? If I already seen it with Houston. Houston made it clear. We already got a coach. Y'all can't have our coach. Go bark up somebody else's tree. I don't think
they decline. You can't even talk to him.
No, go bark up somebody else's tree. This guy is not available. Nope, this is our coach. I think it's some truth to it from the aspect of the Knicks wanting Jason Kidd. The question is will Dallas allow him to talk to? Will he allow him? Because if he allows him to talk to the Knicks are going to bag him. I can tell you that right now. He will end up with the New York Knicks, but it's going to cost them because Jason Kidd is under contract in Dallas, and it's not like they're just handing him over. No.
Well, listen, Dallas traded Luka.
They did.
So I don't, is Kidd available? Sure. If Luka was available, why wouldn't Kidd be available?
Here's the difference, though, Tone, and the difference with this is what at what cost is Jason Kidd available? So if I'm moving on from Jason Kidd, who am I replacing him with? Who is the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks if I come off of Jason Kidd? Is Jerry Stackhouse available?
They would only do it saying, hey, we want this coach to groom Cooper Flag.
Well, it's definitely not going to be Tibbs. We already know that for a fact because
it will not be Tibbs.
No, it will not be Tibbs. No, I don't think that's the question. But to be honest with you, I think that there's some smoke to this. I don't think that there's much. I feel like we still have to see what Dallas looks like next year because I think that they're banking on being really good. And I don't think that they want to tamper with that by losing their head coach. I don't think that they want to bother with that by losing Jason Kidd, who just took them to the finals last year. And then this year, they're going to get Kyrie Irving back later on in the season, like closer to the All-Star break. They're going to get Kyrie Irving back. So I don't think that they want to mess with that, to be quite honest with you. And I don't think that Jason Kidd is as available as the media thinks he is.
Well, this would throw a huge monkey wrench into it because apparently Giannis, I say, because I don't trust any of these. I trust none. I used to trust a small percentage of what I read online. Now I trust 0%.
Mm-hmm.
However, Giannis Antetokounmpo says he wants to return to the NBA Finals with the Bucks.
And people in hell want water. That's not necessarily that. I'm not necessarily saying that that's going to happen either. So, with that being said, and Tone, to be honest with you, and I know how
is he loyal to a fault?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to talk to you about my man right here. My man, he doesn't. You got to show it to him in order for him to believe it. This is my man right here.
I believe nothing of what I read and half of what I see.
And even if you show it to him, you still got to convince him. I'm convinced that Giannis wants to stay in Milwaukee. I'm convinced he wants. I don't think he wants to leave there. I think that we are in a space where public perception, championships, not just championships, legacy, and all of that loud talk, I think that's going to come to a head, and it's going to get so loud that he's going to get ran out of there. I don't think that he wants to leave. I think he wants to stay in Milwaukee. I think he wants to continue to help build that thing in Milwaukee because that's what he's always known. And to your point, Tone, yes, Giannis is, to a fault, loyal. Even when he sees the house crumbling around him. Because that's really what, if we're being honest, that's what's going on. Dame is done. We're probably going to lose Dame for the season next year. And I don't think Dame's going to be 35 in July, which means that when we get him back, he's going to be 36. So he's not going to be what he was.
Dame will not play. Let's be clear. Dame will not play another game as a Buck.
You think he's out of there?
He will not play another game. You have seen him play his last game as a Buck. You heard it here first. Write it down. Take a picture. I don't give a you know what. Yeah, no, he's done.
So Dame is going to be out of there. They got to shore up that lead guard spot. In addition to them shoring up that lead guard spot, guys like Kyle Kuzma are there. Who Kyle Kuzma wasn't middle, even a younger Middleton. Kyle Kuzma isn't that good. No. He's got a lot of work to do, and I don't even with the work that he puts in, I still don't think that he's going to be to that level. With that being said, Tone, they do have, what's this kid, AJ Johnson, one of the shooters. They do have him, and they got Trent as a shooter. They're not as consistent. Milwaukee is not New York City. It's not Los Angeles. It's not Miami. There isn't much to do in Milwaukee, Tone. So we have Giannis's name on the moniker. We lose Giannis. Who are we selling in Milwaukee? If we lose him,
Milwaukee is going to be Washington for the next 5 years.
And I'm not trying to hear that, Tone. If I'm management, nope. Until he tells me he wants out, I am not moving him. Not doing it.
But you don't. He may have told him he wants out.
If he told him he wanted out, then we would have heard it already.
No, privately.
No,
he's not. He's not that type of guy. I don't think to do it publicly.
Especially
if they told him,
we said the same thing.
Especially if they told him, where is it that you want to go? Give us your list of your top, cities, and we're gonna, for all that you've done for us, right, putting us on the map, bring us this championship for the first time in a million years. Like, we're going to help you, put you to where you want to be.
Sure, but I think the difference with that, Tone, is that does get out, and the reason why that.
Marcus, man, that's my bestie. He can call me Tone.
That's his name.
He's like, call him Fluent.
He calls me Jay because that's my name.
That's right. I call him. Yeah, you know what's funny? When I call you Jay to other people, they're like, "Who's that?" And I'm like, "Chilltown Hoops."
I call him Tone.
It's so weird to call you Chilltown.
But
yes,
this what I'm thinking, Tone. You and I sat up here and said the same thing about Damian Lillard last year, and then breaking news: Damian Lillard requests to be traded.
That's because they weren't doing what he wanted in a timely fashion, right? We got on good authority was that they were like, yeah, we're looking for what's best for us. We're looking for what's best for us. He's like, I need you to do this. They wouldn't do it. And then his GM said, I'm not trading you unless you come out publicly. I'm not going to be the guy that trades Damian Lillard out of Portland. So they forced his hand to do that. He didn't want to do that.
Right. And with him not wanting to do that, there still was, with public perception, it was almost like a breath of fresh air. Like, finally, wow, Dame is finally asking out.
Yeah.
When in reality, we all knew that this was coming. It was time.
Yeah.
We all knew it was coming. It wasn't news.
Yeah, except they should have sent him to Miami and left the damn Bucks the way they were because they would have been better off. All right. Speaking of, you said they need a lead guard. I might have to send the link a little early to get some help here. There's a couple of lead guards that the Sacramento Queens want. Mm-hmm. They're looking at, they're super motivated to get a long-term solution like a Trae Young or Darius Garland. Mm-hmm. Is either one of them likely to end up in Sacramento?
Well, first of all, I don't know if you've heard this, Tone, but so Darius Garland has had surgery on his toe, so he's going to be out for 5 months. And if any of you guys know,
his toe,
yeah, he had turf toe.
You chop that thing off and be back faster than 5 months.
Yeah, he had turf toe, and he's going to be out for 4 to 5 months. So
is he a cornerback? How the hell did he get turf toe?
That's what I thought, Tom. But I also know how incredibly painful it is too. That the fact that he's out there trying to run on this thing, and it was obvious that he was hobbled. It was obvious that he was hobbled. But with that being said, Tone, I'm a little torn by this, and maybe you could straighten me out, because we don't have the Miami Heat from 2010 to 2014. We don't have the Warriors from 2015 to 2019, right? We don't have the Bulls in the 90s. We're in a space where, you can make one move and you could be right in the middle of it, because this is where we are.
Yeah.
But I'm torn, Tone, because I feel like Detroit is building it. I feel like Houston is building it. And I feel like the way that Oklahoma City built it, I feel like that's the right way to do it. I think that manufacturing these teams like Miami did, right? Like what happened in Golden State, I feel like those days are over. But I also understand, because that's why I'm a little torn about this, but because I also understand you got to strike while the iron is hot. And I feel like the era that we live in, I don't think I'm going to see a repeat champion this decade, Tone. And I could be wrong, but I don't think that I'm going to see a repeat champion. Because I don't think I'm going to see a repeat champion, I think that if you could make a move that can push you to the top of the list, and then you get some luck behind you, you could win it. You could 100% win it. But I also don't want to sacrifice everything that I'm building, like what they're doing in Houston. I think what they're doing in Houston is phenomenal. I think what they're doing in Detroit is phenomenal. I love it. But I feel like, what's the goal here? And the goal is to win the NBA championship. And if we can do something quickly, well, I forgot I'm talking to a businessman, right? Let me rephrase that. So the goal is to make money. Let's be clear about that.
Let me ask you, what team do you think their goal is to win the NBA championship?
Which team their goal? I think the Lakers. The goal is to win the NBA championship.
Because that's a mom and pop's organization.
The Lakers are a mom and pop organization.
The Lakers are a mom and pop's organization. Yep.
It's homegrown. I'm not gonna argue that point.
It's a mom and pop's in comparison to the other. Like, as crazy as that sounds, they're mom and pops. So keep going. Who else?
I think the Celtics. The goal is to win the NBA championship.
Okay, there's that history there. I agree with you there for sure.
I think the Knicks. The goal is to win the NBA.
Although did they not just sell the Celtics?
They did just sell the Celtics. Yes, sir.
So I don't know. Do you know the new owner? Do you know what his background is? Do you know?
I haven't done much homework on him. I have not done much homework on him, but I do think that I'm going to see a much different Celtic team. There's going to be a lot of fat that's going to be cut this year.
Because then that's going to tell me if he really wants to win a championship or not. Like, if you see him say, okay, well, Tatum's gone for at least half, if not all of the season. Brown is gone for a big chunk of the season. So we're just going to make wholesale changes and blow the thing up. I don't think he's about winning championships, because if you are, you stay the course. If he starts blowing things up and going young, then
maybe he is about winning it, and maybe they are about winning it. Because what I think about, Tone, and you're a baseball guy, you can appreciate this. I think about the owner of the Florida Marlins when they won it in '97, and he blew the team up.
Yeah, he got what he
blew the team up. We get back to the World Series. They get back to the World Series in 2003, blow the team up again. I think that if the idea is we've done this once, we could do it again, then you can stick to that plan. Only except in pro basketball, I feel like you can't win on the cheap. That's not realistic. But the way the CBA is put together, it's almost impossible. It's going to be almost impossible to hold these teams together. Tone, SGA is up for almost $350 next year, $76 million a season. Jalen Williams made the All-Pro team. He's going to be up for a Supermax next season.
Yeah, I've told you they're oof. Oh my gosh.
Yes, Tone. You know what that sounds like, ladies and gentlemen? It sounds like I just put the spreadsheet in front of Tone as the CEO, and I showed him the numbers, and he's like, "Holy shit!" Because
I know each one of those dollars is actually $3. Because of the luxury tax, because of the second apron, because of, all those other things that they're going to have to deal with. And it's like, no wonder there's not going to be another dynasty. No wonder there's not going to be any more super teams. And here's the thing. When you say, the teams that like OKC, Houston, Detroit, those teams may or may not win a championship.
Yep.
But they will have years and years of success,
Mhm.
right? Which will make them money because they're selling hope season tickets and sold out arenas. The problem is when you start winning championships, that becomes the baseline. Well, we got to be title contenders every year. And when you have to be title contenders every year, it's tough because you got to spend a lot of money. And it doesn't always work out. And then if you don't win, you're a failure. And it's going to be really hard because a lot of teams, and the reason I asked you what teams want to win a chip is because there are teams like the Lakers and the Celtics who just because of who they are. But other than that, if you look at most of the teams, they're either owned by billionaires who, unless they're like Mark Cuban, who just love the game, they're looking to make money.
100%.
Or you get like a team like, let's be honest, I'll use my hometown here in Toronto. They're owned by MLSE. They're owned by a board. They're not owned by someone.
Mm-hmm.
They're owned by a board. And what do you think a board cares about? You think they care about winning a title? No, they care about what do we need to do to increase the price of ticket sales and sell more concessions and more merch and get a bigger chunk of the TV deal so we can get more money.
Yeah.
And so if we win, okay, that's great, but that's like secondary to
how do we stay in the black? That's
what we're trying to do. Yeah.
How do we stay in the black?
That's why it's an interesting kind of situation that we're in because you have people who say and listen, I'm not picking on, I don't even know who this Alin Joe is, but this is actually like the most untrue thing
you don't
that I've ever posted on here, because the reality is you can go back and look every single year of any sport.
Mm-hmm.
When there's parity, viewership and money is down. When there are super teams, which I don't believe in, or dynasties, right through the roof.
Clear.
More viewers, more money, more globalization of the sport. It's, again, you might not like it, you might disagree, but your opinion doesn't matter to stats, which tell you, no, people like dynasties. People like super teams. People want to see KD go to LA and Jokic to join LeBron and Luka and see if they can go 82-0.
So real quick, I'd like to address this real quick. So
can we get that next year, just out of curiosity?
Joseph said, chill, J-Dub is not up for a Supermax. He has to make an all-NBA team next year to make it. Actually, that's not true. And here's how I know that that's not true, Joseph. The reason why I know that that's not true, because I am well-versed in the CBA. One of the things that I learned sitting next to this dude is that if you don't know the business of basketball, you can't talk basketball. You have to know the business of basketball. And according to the new parameters of the Supermax contract, these are them.
Oh, it's a little blurry. Oh, there we go. Now we got it. Let's see. Entering year 8, 9, or 10 with a rookie contract team and won an MVP in any of the past 3 seasons, or Defensive Player of the Year in any of the last seasons, or made any All-NBA team in the most recent or prior 2 seasons. Oh,
bing, 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 bing. I think that's the one right there.
In year 8 or 9 or 10?
He is not. He is not in year 8 or 9. No. But he is with his. He's still on his rookie contract. Sure. Won MVP? No. Defensive Player of the Year? No. Made any NBA team in the recent pricing? Bing, 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 bing. There's your winner right there.
Yeah.
There's your winner right there. So just so you know, Jay, just so you know, Joseph, I have to know that. And if I don't know that stuff, then I'm not going to be able to sit next to this dude. So that's what it is. And you just said you either have to make it in your contract year, which is next 2 years, or make it 2 years in a row. No, you don't. I just read it to you. No, you do not. People like this drive me crazy. When you show them the facts, they still want to tell you that it's something else. These are the facts. Prior to your contract year, within 2 years prior to, that would be this year. Next year is his contract year. So if he makes next year, if he doesn't make the All-NBA team, he made it this year, which still would make it prior to the 2-year rule. So again, Tone, your next course of business.
Well, actually, we're still back on this one because we didn't talk about it. Trae Young and Garland. Does either one go to the Kings?
Well, no, to be honest with you, Tone, I really like Trae Young. I really like Darius Garland in Sacramento, but I love him even more in Cleveland. And the reason why I love him more in Cleveland is because I feel like they're building something. I do. I don't think that if Trae Young, I don't think that if Darius Garland goes to Sacramento, that pushes them over the top. I think that if he's in Cleveland and he's healthy going into the season, with him being healthy going into the season, I feel like they have a better shot. I think this Cleveland team just needs to get tougher. That's all.
What if we did? What's that? See you tomorrow. Don't forget to say goodnight to Unc.
Later, nephew.
So two things. I'll get back to the Supermax in a minute. How about a 3-team deal? What if we get Trae Young to the Cavs?
Yep.
Garland to the Kings, and the Kings send whatever they would have sent for that to
a 3-team deal. Well, what am I if I'm the Cavs?
To Atlanta. They
okay,
send whatever to Atlanta.
So I got Atlanta, Cleveland, and Sacramento all in the same.
Yeah.
Well, I only can get one of these dudes. I'm not getting Trae Young and Darius Garland.
No, I said Trae Young to Cleveland.
Okay,
Darius Garland to Sacramento, and then Sacramento and Cleveland, for that matter, send stuff to Atlanta.
I don't love Trae Young in Cleveland. I don't.
All right.
I don't like him in Cleveland at all. But Sacramento gets Trae Young. They're going to have to give up something substantial because the money. I mean, Trae Young just signed an extension like 2 years ago, so he's on the books for like I think $44 or $45 million. So
that bumps the bonus.
Yes, it wouldn't make sense to, because Sabonis has already talked about needing a point guard. He's already talked about that. So if Sabonis needs a point guard, right? So if Sabonis needs a point guard, and they end up getting Trae Young, we can't give up Sabonis.
Can I tell you the truth? I think this is a load of crap. I think Sacramento is saying this to kind of appease their fans. I think Sacramento are sellers; they're not buyers in the market. And because time is running thin, and I want to get to our free agents, I'm going to move on to the next thing, which is it's another move because this player is, I don't want to say stuck, but he's on a team that hasn't necessarily been performing that well, and there's a lot of people that want him. Laurie won my fantasy league marketing potential trade. Warriors and Heat are the favorites to land Laurie. What do you think?
I think that if they were going to deal, I think just the same thing you said about the exact same thing that you said about Sacramento and it's being a load of crap. I don't believe a word that comes out of Danny Ainge's mouth. Not one word. If this was going to happen, if this was going to happen, then he would have dealt him already. Because I'm having a difficult time with the logic that last year the trade was held up by Podziemski. I'm having a really difficult time with that logic. I don't believe that one bit, Tone. There's no way you selling me that he at 20 an all-star, right? An all-star in Laurie marketing. And not only an all-star in Laurie marketing, a stretch big, this trade is going to get held up by Podziemski. And I've said this to you in the past, Tone. If Podziemski was the guy, then that means that he's the future. And if he's the future, why is Steph Curry still here? What are we still doing with Steph Curry? I don't believe that at all, Tone. I don't. I'm not buying it at all.
Laurie's staying put. Laurie's staying. I'm asking you.
Yes. Yeah, and if he does get moved, I don't think it's going to be the Golden State.
No, because I know Danny Ainge. So Danny Ainge, unless he's getting like Steph and someone, I don't like. He's gonna
right.
I don't see him making a bad trade, and I don't think there's enough in Golden State that would make a deal for Ainge, because Ainge wants to take advantage of you. And who are they going to get from them that is a take advantage type of deal? I don't see it happening. So Miami might be there, but I don't know that. Like, who are they going to get from Miami? They're not going to trade Tyler Hero. They're not going to trade Bam.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want Duncan Robinson. Like, there's nothing that makes sense. Again, could I be missing something? Yeah, possibly. This, I don't know if you sent this to me as a joke, because it looks a little like one. The top 5 mid-rangers I should have read the whole thing. I've ever seen. I don't know this person. Like, are they 20?
Maybe.
Because
John Livingston does not have a better mid-range than Bryant, Jordan, Kawhi Leonard, Bryant, Jordan, CP3, Kawhi Leonard, and KD's not on this list neither.
Well, they conveniently put 2015 to 2018.
Yeah.
And so in those years, yes, Sean Livingston, I think averaged like 51, 53, and 55% from mid-range. The only problem is he only shot 2.3, 2.5 a game.
Yeah. Is Sean Livingston a better mid-range? Is Sean Livingston better in the mid-range than DeMar DeRozan? Is he better in the mid-range than Rip Hamilton? I don't think so. No, I don't. I think that those guys were much more effective in the mid-range than Sean Livingston was. And I think Sean Livingston had a really good mid-range jump shot. I'm not going to argue that point. But he is not in the same class with Bryant.
I have the numbers in front of me. So 15-16, he shot 2.6 a game, 54.8%. 2016-17, 2.3 at 55%. 2017-2018, 2.4 per game at 50.9%. And you know what I tell people who say he's a great mid-range shooter?
Shut your damn mouth.
Because if no one's covering you, because you're the 5th option on a team, it's a little bit easier to shoot when no one's guarding you. I'm sorry. Because when I have guys, and this is actually better. I'm telling you, this is actually better. When I have, I'm trying to think of when I have Dirk, who's the number 1 option on the team, and he's hitting, I don't know, 47, 48, 50%. When I have Jordan, Jordan in 97, the first year they started tracking this, shot 51.1%. Like, you think
this ain't Air Jordan, Tone. This ain't Air Jordan, like 89 Jordan. This is older Jordan.
This is on the decline, Jordan, shooting 51%. And I'm like, and who else was scoring on that team? Because I'm pretty sure in the playoffs, in the finals, he scored like 45% of the damn points for the team. Like, he was clearly the one everyone was guarding, and he was doing that. When I see Kevin Durant, who shot as high as 54% from the mid-range, and guess what? He was the number 1 offensive option. Heck, even Kevin Nash. I was thinking of wrestling. Steve Nash was shooting 49, 50%. Chris Paul shot as high as 53%. Like, I can think of probably 20 guys better than Sean Livingston. So that's why I'm asking, was this a joke?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought that you might get a laugh out of that.
Because that's horrible.
You shouldn't have been talking shit.
Next up is this is good. This is the one you've been waiting for, I think.
What's that? Oh.
The 2016 Spurs, one of the best teams to never win a championship. 67-15. Kawhi, Defensive Player of the Year, second in MVP voting. Is that the best team not to win a championship?
No, the team that won the NBA championship. I mean, the team that didn't win the NBA championship that year is the best team never to win the championship, which is the Warriors.
The team that beat them?
Yes, they are the best team. But that Spurs team, in fact, that's the most games that San Antonio had ever won that year. They had never won 67 games. And it tells you how good the West, well, not the Western Conference was, but it tells you how good the Warriors were. Because, I mean, I think any other year, I think Kawhi Leonard would have won the league MVP. And if he didn't win the league MVP, he would have at least gotten some votes. And the fact I actually voted, I actually thought that he should have got some votes for MVP that year. I mean, I know that Steph Curry was fantastic, but I mean, he was the defensive player of the year that year. He shot almost 50, 40, 90 like Curry did. Don't get me wrong. I think Curry was on more volume, but this team, I mean, Duncan was over at that point. Duncan in 2016, that was his last season. That's why they got LaMarcus Aldridge. LaMarcus Aldridge was there to supplant Duncan. He was going to take over for Duncan. But to answer your question, Tone, guys like teams like this right here makes me think about the best teams never to win the NBA championship. I mean, that 65 Laker team with Jerry West and Elgin Baylor, they were phenomenal. That I think that 68. I think that Boston Celtic team in 73 with Dave Cowens that won the NBA championship the next year. They won 68 games that year. I'm still on record saying that I think that Jazz team in 98, I think that that's the best team never to win the NBA championship. I actually thought that they were going to beat the Bulls.
A lot of people did. I think they were actually people forget because they want to go by like what Vegas tells them now.
Yep.
But they were the odds-on favorite to win.
I thought they were going to win the NBA championship that year, Tone. And they came out and won game one. I'm like, the Jazz are going to win the NBA championship. Oh shit, this is going to happen. I thought that they were going to win it, but they again ran into Jordan, and running into Jordan, just we saw what happened when you run into Jordan. So I think the 98 Jazz, I think the 73 Celtics, I think the 65 Lakers, I think that Pistons team in 87. I mean, they ended up winning it again in 88, but I think that Sonic team in 94 that ended up losing in the first round. I mean, Houston got lucky. And I've said this to you in the past, Tone. It's not a coincidence that the 2 years that the Houston Rockets won the NBA championship, who did they avoid?
Yeah, the only 2 years they didn't have to play that Sonics team.
Yes, sir. Those the only 2 years that they didn't have to play that Seattle team. Because that Seattle team, when they won it those 2 years, the next year they see that Seattle team in the 95-96 playoffs, and they put the brooms to them. They swept them out the playoffs.
You know, it's so funny. It just totally proves that like the matchups matter. Like there's just certain teams that just you can't beat them. On this Spurs team for a second, and you're probably right. It probably is when a team wins 73 games and doesn't win the NBA championship. It's hard to argue against that team, but I think that's another team where I say like, yeah, they were super for the regular season, but I don't think they were good enough for the playoffs. Even with 73 wins, I'm sorry. It's crazy. I know it's crazy to say, but that's what I believe. You always talk about the Spurs being this dynasty. And when I tell you the dynasty ended in like when they didn't, I want to say, what was the year that they won in 90 in 90.
They won it in 99.
99. And then
they didn't win it again for almost 5 years.
And then they win like in 07.
They win it in 03.
Yeah, 03 and then 07.
05. Don't leave out 05.
Yeah, and then 07. And then do they miss the playoffs?
Nope. They don't get back to the finals for 7 years.
So that's when I say in 07 is when the dynasty ended. And you said to me, no, because they win 50 games every season. So there's still a dynasty in 2013 when they make the finals again.
Yep.
And so my question is this. So were the 91 Lakers a dynasty?
The dynasty was still there.
So the 91 Bulls beat the Lakers dynasty.
Ended it. Even though Jabbar was gone. Magic was still there. AC Green was still there. James Worthy was still there. Byron Scott was still there. They got back to the NBA championship. Even though the year before that, I think they got bounced in the semifinals to Phoenix. And in the year before that, I think that they lost in 89. I think in 89 I think they might have lost to Portland in 90, and I think in 89 they lost to Phoenix. But in 88 they lost. No, 89. I'm sorry. In 89 they lost to the Pistons. I'm sorry. In 90, I apologize. In 90 they lost to Phoenix.
Portland, or Phoenix, but Portland. That's when Portland goes to the.
Yes, they lost to Phoenix, and they were in the finals in 89. They lost in 90, and they lost in 91 in the NBA championship. So, I mean, I think the dynasty was still in effect. Magic was still there. I think where the disconnect between you and me, Tone, is who is still on the crew. So Ginobili was still on the crew. Duncan was still on the crew. Tony Parker was still on the crew. With these guys still being on the crew, they still at the top of the Western Conference. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they got. I want to say either 2010 or 2011. They got bounced in round one after being like the number one seed. Memphis beat them in round one. That was awful, no doubt about that. But they still were in the Western Conference Championship in 2012. They was in the Western Conference Championship again in 2013. It was in the Western Conference Championship again in 2014. And in 2015, they lose in the first round, I think, to the Clippers. And then they was in the Western Conference. They was in the Western Conference Championship again in 17. I think in 16, who did they lose to in 16? The point is that they still were at the top of the league, and the cast was still there.
And that's where I struggle, because I get into this conversation with people and they tell me that the 91 Lakers weren't a dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to relate it to other dynasties. And I say, well, the Spurs weren't a dynasty, because for me, a dynasty is a team that is winning championships or getting to the NBA finals. And when you go 7 years without doing that, your dynasty's over. And you said to me, yeah, but they were winning 50 games every season. And I went, well, so were my Lakers. In fact, my Lakers are winning 50, 60 games. And they went to 9 NBA finals in that 11-year stretch from 80 to 91. And they won 5 of them. And like, even though they made roster changes over 11 years, your roster's going to change. Like, the Spurs lost David Robinson, but we didn't say, well, they don't have David Robinson anymore. They're no longer done. So they won more games than the Spurs. They won more championships than the Spurs. They went to more, or the same amount of championships as the Spurs. They won, depending on how far back you go with the Spurs, but I think they both had 5. But they went to 9. The Spurs went to 6. So here's a better team with more finals, and people don't want to call them a dynasty. So I say, well, then if the dynasty was over when Kareem retired, why? How can the Spurs then be a dynasty if they went 7 years without going back to a final?
Well, I don't think the dynasty was over. That's a fair point, Tone. 100%, that's a fair point. And with them still being in the Western Conference Championship in 12 and in 13 and in 14, getting back to the finals, I don't think the dynasty ended when Jabbar retired. I think that the dynasty ended after Magic left, because now the guys are gone.
Now that one I'm okay with.
After that the guys are gone. That's what I felt like.
Someone said that Angel Reese is balling out. She probably heard what I was saying about her. Here's the problem. Like, balling out, this is what we're considering balling out. 8 of 13, so that's good. 1 of 3 from 3. Told you she can't shoot threes. 0 for 1 from the free throw line. I know it's only 1 attempt, but told you can't shoot free throws. Of course, she has 11 rebounds, 3 assists, 5 turnovers, -6, and she has 17 points, and they're losing by 22 points.
Oh my god! So they're getting smoked.
They're getting smoked. Oh, so okay, they're probably leaving her open, because who cares?
Oh my god!
Like, and you know what's gonna happen tomorrow? Oh, look at Angel. Like, she'll put up, how much time left? There's 3 minutes left in the fourth. So she's going to put up 20-something points and 15 rebounds, and everyone's going to say, oh, she's so amazing. She's the athlete of the year. She stinks. All right. Not last one, and then I'm going to open the phone lines to show my age. But first, should I do this? Sure, let me do the super chat.
Yep.
2 cents. What up? In J.W. Bush words, fool me once. Okay, so are you familiar with that, by the way?
I can't believe he said that. That was incredible.
Do you remember the George Bush with this? He said, listen, fool me once and shame on, and fool me twice, you and listen, all I'm saying is, if you fool me once, you're not going to fool me again.
He said, I'll never forget this for as long as I live. He said, what does Al Gore think Social Security is? Some sort of federal plan? I was like, Oh my god.
He was the best.
I was
For
like, no way.
comedy, he was the
It's like
best.
no way he said that. There's no
Oh.
way he said that out loud. There's no way he said that. No way.
And then I love that he puts in the J. Cole reference. Fool me one time, shame on you. Fool me 2 times. What was it? Shame on me. Fool me 3 times. F the peace sign.
Yes, that's what he said.
Let it rain on you, if I remember it correctly. Here's the last topic of the day.
Mhm.
The 87-88 All-NBA first team. Damn. Magic Johnson,
Mhm.
Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Charles Barkley, Hakeem Olajuwon. I'm taking this team over any team today.
The question
Assembled?
the question that was asked was this first team All NBA this year, which was Shea, Joker, Giannis, Jason Tatum, and Donovan, and four of those guys. Was this the most?
I noticed you're leaving out Donovan Mitchell because you know he's the weak link.
Oh, 100% of these guys. No way. I'm not even. There's no way I will even mention him. But those 4 guys, was this? I want to make sure that I don't want to misquote you, Tone. I want to make sure that I get it right when I say this. So I don't want to get this wrong. And the question was, is this the first time there's been a clear best player at each position? Shea at the lead guard, Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum, Giannis, and Joker. But actually, it wasn't Anthony Edwards. It was Donovan Mitchell. And the question is no, because this All-NBA team right here in 87-88, Magic was the best lead guard in the game, and it wasn't a question. Even though Isaiah Thomas was awesome, even though John Stockton was awesome, even though Mark Price was great, Dennis Johnson was great.
Much argument that
Michael Jordan was the best 2 guard in the game. It wasn't a question. Larry Bird was the best small forward in the game. As good as Dominique Wilkins was, and we love Neek, he wasn't Bird. He wasn't that good. I think that I could have a conversation about Barkley in 88 with Malone, but I don't think Malone was there yet. I think Malone was close, but I don't think he was there yet. Like when we get to 89, we get to 90, that's when I feel like Malone had passed Barkley. Olajuwon, Jabbar was over at that point. He was better than Ewing. David Robinson hadn't showed up yet. Olajuwon was the best 5-man in the game in 1988. No doubt. So to answer your question, is that the best? Is that the clear best player at each position? No. It's this one. It's 100% this one right here. Yes.
Yeah, and I think they put Ant in because they know, like I know, that Ant is the best 2 guard in the game.
Hey, you know what? I've got this water, and we've got this red version. We got a red bottle. And we've got a David Beckham version here. We got a blue version.
I'm actually out of water, so I put the link in the back.
Oh my goodness, yo. Anytime Tone puts that on, man, I swear that's some of the funniest shit that I ever heard.
Did you happen, speaking of that, did you happen to see any of the BET Awards last night?
I did not. To be honest with you, Tone, the last time I watched the BET Awards was when it was Eminem. Eminem was in the site. They had a cipher. It was Eminem, Joe Budden, Eminem, Joe Budden, Jada Kiss was in it in the cipher. That was the last time I watched the BET Awards. I haven't seen the BET Awards since. And I heard it was a joke, to be honest with you.
What did you hear?
I just heard it was a joke. And I'm not that big of a Kevin Hart fan. Maybe that's just me.
Okay.
I don't think he sucks. I want to be clear on that. I don't think Kevin Hart is whack. I just kind of like it's kind of like Will Ferrell with me. Not just Will Ferrell, but I just don't think he's that funny anymore. Like kind of like Adam Sandler. I just don't think he's that funny anymore. I don't think he's whack. I don't think he's corny. No, I just don't think he's funny now. As funny as he used to be. I don't.
Zol, 1, 2, 3.
Yo. Wagwan.
Wagwan.
Fluent, you from Toronto, right?
Yeah, I mean, with the man's them, see?
Yo, Fluent. how is it gonna feel in 30 days? Giannis Antetokounmpo is gonna be a Toronto Raptor. How does it feel knowing that?
He's not going to be a Toronto Raptor.
Flu, he was smirking in that video that Pensar posted.
Who's
I
Pensar?
know you saw Penn. I know you saw Penn post that video on Twitter.
I didn't. Should I follow him? I did not. I did not see it.
You should follow Penn. This is the PC extended community. But
Okay.
look, Giannis is on the way.
I'm gonna go look for it right now. Keep talking. Keep talking.
Giannis is on the way, and we're going to take over the Atlantic before the Knicks even had a chance to do it. Before the Knicks even had a chance to win the Atlantic, the Raptors are back to running the Atlantic. This is embarrassing for the city of New York. This is embarrassing for the city of Brooklyn. This is embarrassing for the city of Philadelphia. This is not so embarrassing for Boston. But we back up. And Chill, I don't like that look you have on your face, Chill.
Because I think because this is some of the most ridiculous shit I ever heard.
Oh, why'd you kick him out?
I didn't touch it. I didn't do anything.
Oh, he left.
Yeah, I didn't do anything. I didn't.
Oh man, I wanted to hear more about that because
I didn't do anything. No, I didn't.
Do you follow him? Oh, here, Pensar Basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Here, I'll follow him back. He'll be very. I'm sure he'll be very excited that I followed him back. Just FYI, I don't follow anybody back, and it's not because I'm too cool or anything. I try to keep I like you. I was only on Twitter. I've been on Twitter. Here, let me go back a step. I've been on Twitter since 2019.
Yep.
And people will say, Fluent, how you been on Twitter since 2019 and you have like 900 followers? And I'm like, because I was never on. Like, I was like you. I had I followed Woj, right?
That's the only reason why I was on it.
I followed who's the football version of Woj?
What you call it? Adam Shefty.
Shefty. Mm-hmm. So I followed like those guys. I had the NBA, the NFL, you know, and I literally maybe followed 15 people.
Yep.
And I had my notifications on, and it was just like I wanted to get, you know, notified when something happened so that I could pull it up and see. Like I wanted, you know, I didn't want to miss out on a Woj bomb. And I'm sorry,
nobody wants to miss out on
the thing he said from Pensar too. And so I wasn't on it. And it was, I want to say maybe the last, and up until that point, I probably only had even 50 followers, 100 followers. Like there were some people said, hey, follow me, I'll follow you back. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like because I didn't care. Because I think I follow like 200 people now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's only been maybe the last 30 days, 60 days that I've actually been getting into it with people on Twitter. Because they're the worst human beings on the planet. So I'm just throwing it back at them. You know, I'm just having my troll fun on there. So it's not like I'm trying to be all cool or whatever. It's just that it wasn't I didn't really do that.
Right.
So let me just see. What did he say about Giannis? I got to see his. Well, maybe I can't find it, so I'll have to look for it after. But Giannis is not going to Toronto, and Giannis isn't going to Toronto for two simple reasons.
Reason number one, I'm all ears to hear this.
Sure. They don't have a package good enough to get him.
That was my first question I was going to ask you, Tone. What is Toronto giving Milwaukee to say Milwaukee, for Milwaukee to say, here's Giannis? What do you have for him?
Nothing. Now, whatever team he goes to in the East, they'll become instant favorites in the East. Because with Indiana, listen, Indiana's good, but no one really believes in Indiana. Even now that they've made it to the finals, right? Eastern Conference Finals, then NBA Finals, no one believes in Indiana. No, Boston's going to be down. Detroit, they're going to stay still too young. New York is now with a new coach. Who knows? What else are we dealing with? Cleveland already proved that. Who cares? Even if they come in first, they're not going anywhere in the playoffs. Orlando's too young. And so it's really there for he's right. The East is there for the taking.
Yep.
But
Philly won't be back.
Who?
Philly won't be back.
Back what? Back where? Back from out of the playoffs?
Yeah, Philly
from previous years?
I don't think Philly's going to be back. Mm-mm.
They're a joke. That process failed miserably. So you're right. Whoever lands them, if anyone. But let's look here. Let's see. Who do you want from the Raptors?
For Giannis?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, if I'm trading Giannis, that means that I need draft picks because I'm starting over, right? So if if you are Toronto, we'll start the conversation tone with I need all your ones for the rest of the decade.
Okay. All your ones for the rest of the decade.
The rest of the decade 25, 26, 27, 28, and 29. I'll take
Okay.
all your ones for the rest of the decade. We'll start there.
All right.
This
So here,
deal-
let me tell you who's under contract for next year.
Yep.
You got $38 million in Ingram, who hasn't even played for the Raptors. You got IQ Emmanuel Quickly at 32.5 million. So they've got the salary to get him. RJ Barrett at 27 million. Jakob Pertl, the Turtle, at 19.5. Scotty Barnes at 38. Brady Dix on his rookie deal of 5 million. O'Shea Ajbaji. Did I finally say that?
Yep, Agbaji.
Yeah, 6.3. Walter at 3.6. Mogbo at 2 million. Sheed at 2 million. So these aren't guys that they're going to want. Battle at 2 million. It says AJ Lawson at 2.2, but I thought he was. Anyways,
what about Brochet?
Who?
Chris Boucher.
He's a free agent, my friend.
So he's off. So he comes off the books after the season.
Yeah, Chris Boucher's off the books. Temple's off the books. Wiseman is off the books. Everybody else is off the books.
So now that leaves Brandon Ingram. So I'll tell you this, Tone. This deal doesn't happen if Scotty Barnes is not in it. We'll start there.
But if you're not keeping Scotty Barnes, what the hell are you doing yet with Giannis?
Right, and that's the other thing that I'm thinking about. So you got. I'm going to need your ones. In addition to me needing your ones, I'm also going to need some young players that I can build around. Right. So if I'm going to take 5 of your ones, like Scotty Barnes got to be in this deal. One of these two dudes. And I'm not selling. I can't see me selling in Milwaukee Brandon Ingram and Emmanuel Quigley. I can't sell that. I could try to sell it, but I can't see me selling that, Tone. No.
I will say this. The good news is they got the number 9 this year. So they have a top 10 pick this year.
Which I'm going to need that pick. I'll take that off your hands.
And then they do have their 1 and 2, or their own 1 next year, and then the Lakers 2. And then 07, 08, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. They have their first round pick every one of those years. So they do have the rest of their first round picks for the next decade. They do have.
And I'll take all of those off your hands. Thank you very much. Which you're not mortgaging your future for Giannis. Who is he going to play with? Because in addition to them 5 ones, I'm going to need a boatload. In terms of players, yeah, I'm going to need a boatload. Don't think that you're just giving me those ones in a bucket of extra crispy and a 6-pack. I'm not trying to hear that. No. Not happening.
So I just, as good as it sounds, so he goes there and from all I understand, he's about winning. So he's going to go there and let's say they keep Scotty. Who else is there?
Quigley's going to be gone. Ingram's going to be gone because I don't think that I don't think that. I mean, a lot of times
they just signed Ingram to an extension.
Yep.
So unless he's part of the deal, like, okay, well, let me ask you this: if you have a core of Ingram, Barnes, and Giannis, you need a perimeter. You need a perimeter guard / and a point, and a rebounding center, who preferably is a stretch center.
Sure.
I don't know how you fill those 2 massive gaps, but is BI, Barnes, and Giannis a good enough core to get you into the playoffs? Good enough to get you to the finals in the East?
Well, according to the masses, like the dude Zolo that just came up here, yeah, because you got Giannis. Giannis can carry. Yes, Giannis can carry. When in reality, no, it's not. Because what you're asking me, Tone, is you're asking me the best version of Brandon Ingram. Does he mesh with Giannis like Middleton did? Can he mesh with Giannis like Middleton did? the best version of Brandon Ingram. Can that work? I don't
Well,
think so.
here, let me read out something to you.
Yep.
62, 61, 55, 45, 64, 18. Those are the amount of games BI has played in the last.
He had a toe injury last year.
In the last 6 seasons since he's been a New Orleans Pelican. 2 cents.
Yeah, he had a toe injury last year.
I always bring him on at the wrong time. I'm going to give you all the time you want.
Oh, no. Oh, you good? Yeah, but first of all, good to see y'all. But I'm going to break it down to in layman's terms. If you ever had family night with Giannis, the way that Toronto trying to get him, he's Baltic Avenue or Oriental. He's the cheapest property. You're not about to get him. New York and all these other people, yeah, they Park Place and everything. They don't want. He's not going there. I don't know. They can dream all they want to in Toronto. That's good to dream. So that's out of there. Now the next thing,
so you know, hold on, 2 cents. Just so you know, Toronto is the most multicultural city. I don't know if you've seen the Greek population in Toronto. They are a big deal up in Toronto, and they love Giannis up there. Just so you know.
Got great people, great food, and all that. I promise you. And I'm still not going.
I'll pause you there for a second and say. I'll pause you there for a second and say,
okay.
If I were to make a case, so if they were to find the money and the players and the draft picks that made sense, I will say this from a Giannis perspective. Unless he's trying to get out of the cold, let's be clear, Toronto isn't any colder than Milwaukee. It isn't any warmer either. But from a, would Giannis want to go to Toronto, which is, would he want to go to a place that has a huge Greek population? Yes. Does he want to go to a place that has a huge Nigerian population? Yes, we have both. Does he want to go to a place where he can do more for like the world, which is he's already a big proponent and works with Masai Ujiri and Giants of Africa. So that's a yes. So there's a lot of things that from a non-basketball perspective would make a lot of sense for him to be there. My thing is he wants to win chips, and I don't think if he goes, will he be able to bring someone back? There'll be enough there for him to win, which then just puts him in the same situation where he's in Milwaukee, where.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're just speaking on possibilities and probabilities because it's some great people that's, from the diaspora, from like Africa and stuff like that. Yeah, you could. That's a great landing spot. But at the end of the day, I don't see the possibility and probabilities. I'm like, no, not when I got those type of options. Why would I want to go to Toronto over this or over that? It's not saying those other places are not great places. It's just that.
Let's play that game.
Yeah.
Over what? Give me other cities.
Okay, you start with New York. Why would I want to go to Toronto over New York?
Toronto is a fantastic city.
Toronto is a cleaner, safer. My dollar's going to go farther. Less crowded, less media, less pressure, less egos than the ones I'm going to have to deal with I don't know, Jalen Brunson in New York.
They'll love him in Toronto. They wouldn't like Giannis in Toronto. They would love him up there.
Okay. Now we speaking from a Giannis, not our personal thing, but we speaking like with Giannis. Okay. And it's a reason why people are not busting the door down to get into Toronto rather than Vince Carter, T-Mac, and everybody trying to get out of Toronto. Do you think Ingram was trying to break the door down to get into Toronto? No, that's not how it worked.
Actually, Brendan Ingram said Toronto was of all the places he played in was the best city and the one that he would actually love to play in an interview about 6 months before that trade happened. So he actually really did love Toronto. But this isn't about defending Toronto, New York. I'm saying, why would Giannis not want to be in New York? Because there's going to be a lot of pressure on him in New York. And he seems like a happy, fun-loving kind of guy who's like, maybe I can walk that. Well, you could probably do this in New York too. I can walk down the streets in Toronto and no one will bother him.
Yeah, and for me personally, I would like Toronto because of my personality and stuff. I probably would want to do the Toronto thing as far as my career and my legacy. I probably would do something like a New York, a big. Put it like this: a bigger draw of a city. You know, I don't care if it was Dallas, LA, or something. I would have did that and left that type of legacy. Your legacy is not going to be that big in Toronto. But yeah, but I understand what you're saying.
I think it's interesting that the
They'll have the
Knicks,
whole country rooting for him.
literally,
Yeah.
the entire country.
Yeah, that would be great. And that country's been there for a long time, and there's been some good players that went there, and there's some good players that had an opportunity to go there. They just didn't, and they're not beating the door down. That's all I'm saying. They're not beating the door down. They that great. They're not beating the door down.
Was Vince Carter a bigger star when he was playing in Toronto or when he went to New Jersey?
That's easy.
Because it's easy.
No, the bigger star.
Yeah.
That's easy.
I liked him at a little bit better when he was in Toronto playing wise. He was electric.
He was a much bigger deal. He was a much bigger deal up in Toronto.
Deal, endorsements, all of that. Okay, what other city other than New York? Where else?
Yeah. Okay, but yeah, I understand. I understand what you're saying. But here's where it's a big misconception. You fine in Arkansas, but go to Miami. You still fine. Nobody's saying you're not. You're dealing with different. Some people want to compete in life and go against the best of the best and do this and see my limitations. You're not stretching your limitations. It's comfortable in Toronto. I get exactly what you guys are saying. It's cleaner, it's safer, and this, that. Man, you on the edge. Some people love the skydive and everything else and do want to live on the edge. If that's what your thing is, no, Toronto might not be the thing that you want to do. If that's not what Giannis, it's about Giannis. What about he want to do with his family.
If Giannis wants to win a championship and help the African community, so that's his biggest on the court and off the court things, where do you think he does that better? In New York with a James Dolan owned team, or in Toronto with a Masai Ujiri run team?
The Knicks were a joke for over a decade.
I don't like. Yeah. I'm not the guy to talk about the Knicks. I don't really like the Knicks like that. Hey, real quick. I know we talking about that. I want to touch on something before I have to slide out that part. I don't want to drag the show too much on that. But we definitely on the same page on that part. I don't really like New York on that. They got a different mindset, integrities, and ethics. Yeah, I would definitely go to Toronto because that's me and my personality and all that. Yep. But I'm gonna slide to this real quick because y'all touched on it earlier. We are in an era of the now, and I keep hearing just how they're poking fun at people. Like, just say they were talking about Tatum because Tatum got injured. He didn't have a great year for this time, and watch how people switch because it's the now. They were just they crown people so fast. They crown people. He ain't even got a championship. Okay. You might have, he got an MVP. Giannis got a trophy. I think Joker got a trophy and stuff like a lot of these guys is in the now. It is hard to get one championship, but they are so in the now, which I'm going to have to get on page with because that ain't how we did it before. You had to get multiple. They want you to get multiples to be trying to crown yourself this, that, and the other. But however, it's so much in the now, but I'm not going to let you move the goalposts later. I'm not going to let you move it later. But if we're going to stay in the now, because y'all were just bragging about Brunson being the best in the clutches, and you were just bragging about how Halliburton is this and that, and before he was just rated the most overrated, which he was at that time, but now he's a lot better. He's getting better. He's getting out of that hole that where he was. That was his peers that said that mostly. But now at this point in time, man, my star don't give me 14 points. They never have. Unless he gave me 20 assists or something like that. But watch how everything they're gonna. Jason Tatum was what, 5? You could Google him at any time, even if you didn't know anything about basketball. They were still saying he was top 5. And they talking crap about him like he got drafted number 55 like Bronny. I was like, come on, man. You are you serious? He wasn't playing well for a little bit of time. Halliburton being good for a good 2 months. But guess what? Guess who we talking about right now? Halliburton. Go ahead. I'm gonna slide. Go ahead. I'm gonna respond to what you about to say.
I mean, I don't have anything for that. To be honest with you.
Okay.
I don't have anything for that. That's legit.
But
So
I just want to support that. I'm tired of them jumping about Tatum, man. It pisses me off because that dude is straight legit. Top 5, top 10 right now in the league, and they jump him because he had a down year. That bro got over I want to say close to 500 games. I don't know how many games he got now, but he's got a lot of games, and they poop on him a lot of times, and that's not fair. But they crowning guys like Brunson and Halliburton to be having a solid year or a solid few months, and they'll straight up tell them, put it on the internet, that everybody's talking about them, and they act like they've been doing this for 5 years straight, like Joker did since COVID. So I got the
absolutely,
I got the big dog.
Absolutely, brother. Good to talk to you, my man. I appreciate you.
You're gonna have it all.
Yeah, no. It's been a while since I've been able to catch y'all on here, man. I try to do what I can to support and get on here, get the topics off because I be listening to y'all when I can't even get on. But I'll holler at you, bro.
Good to talk to you, brother. Absolutely,
you, man. I appreciate you. Mm-hmm. You know what I love about people who watch who are consistent, like 2 cents. Like they know me now, so they know. Don't listen to what I say. I'm just. Except that one time he got mad at you because he thought you said.
Which I didn't say that.
Which you didn't say that. That was actually the funniest.
And Mel, just so Mel knows, just so you know, Mel, that Tatum is so good. That's why he lost the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Just so you know, he did win the Eastern Conference Finals MVP too. He does have one of those. Just so we clear.
I don't think you can lose one. I think someone else can win one.
Yes, he did. He did win it. So just for the record. But it's about that time for us. We got to bounce. It was good to see you guys today. You know where to find me and my man Tony Tone. We are here every Tuesday night. We will see you guys soon. Until then, put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother. When's the last time you talked to your mother? Call your mother. We'll see you guys soon, man. But until then, take it light. But take it. Absolutely, man. It was good to see you guys tonight.
It's the 4-eyed edition. I hate these damn things.
Can't see, Tone. You need them.
Oh, where's the end stream button?
Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
Nah, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.